Yeah, what y'all know about that Fat Boy Phillies? This Fat Boy Philly cheesesteak? Oh yeah. Oh motherfucking yeah. What y'all know about that Fat Boy Phillies?
Once again, it's time to make superstars on WrestleMania!
Welcome back once again to DwreckTV. I'm Dwreck, and now we are in day 4 of ranking WrestleManias. And boy, it's been a chore so far, but it's also good. It's also good looking back on things like this, especially through my childhood and my teen years, and definitely like stuff from elementary school and high school. Even though I didn't really, like I said, watching pro wrestling when I was a kid was a rarity, and the times I did watch it was always very fun and such. And watching the WrestleManias, even though I didn't watch them at that time, it's one of them things where it's like it just reminds me of that time. Man, makes me think that if I did watch those when I was a kid, I would have definitely loved those. Abso-freaking-lutely. So now we are jumping into the Ruthless Aggression era. And to help out with the Ruthless Aggression, it's the GameCube. Boy, I just can't get away from this thing. But definitely during this time, the Ruthless Aggression era, a lot of people kind of fell off of pro wrestling because WCW went out of business and such, and WWF became WWE during this time, and everybody was just falling off of it. Everybody was just moving on with their lives, basically. And the ones that were pretty much staying behind were the real wrestling fans, which, yours truly. But this was also during a time that TNA started coming up and Ring of Honor started coming up. So WWE had some competition, whether people want to admit it or not. But during this time, the WrestleManias of the Ruthless Aggression era, I would have to say, were very, very enjoyable. And we're going to start things off with the Ruthless Aggression era with WrestleMania 18. I watched this live with one of my friends from high school. I went to his house and we watched it, and I have to say this was one of the best WrestleManias ever. And for being that, they had a freaking full-on concert. They had Saliva and Drowning Pool for this show. Man, how times have changed. Mother freaking all. This was absolutely amazing. Especially with Saliva and Drowning Pool singing. Like, that was two of the biggest bands of that time. Especially with the nu metal era and everything. The nu metal genre, everything with POD and Linkin Park and Seven Dust and Static X. Saliva and Drowning Pool on there, that was like, dude, this was freaking amazing. And watching it back, and it's like, it almost brought a tear to my eye. But other than that, the whole night, we had an absolute blast watching this. Everything from top to bottom, everything from the opening match all the way to the main event. And everybody wants to talk about the big deal with Hollywood Hogan fighting The Rock. Icon versus Icon and everything. That was a really good match, but they just stood and just let the crowd just drown out everything. It was alright. And the main event was the WWF Championship between Chris Jericho, the undisputed champion, against Hunter Hearst Helmsley. This was also Helmsley just came off the injured list from tearing his quad like in 2001, right before the invasion angle happened. So he missed out on a lot, but he makes up for it. He's making up for it. Other matches that was really good. Edge fighting Booker T, Kurt Angle fighting Kane, The Undertaker fighting Ric Flair. This whole night was really good. It was very, very entertaining and very exciting. Just watching back, like I said, watching back this WrestleMania just made me think, like, man, how times have changed. Especially having Saliva and Drowning Pool in concert. Everything about this WrestleMania, it brings me back to that time in high school. This was amazing. Where would I rank WrestleMania 18? I don't want to spend too much time on this. I would put this absolutely solid S rank. It was absolutely amazing. Everything from top to bottom, especially with Saliva and Drowning Pool. This WrestleMania was great. Absolutely great. One of the best ever. Hogan and The Rock was all right, but it was just the whole night just was very sentimental to me. And you're probably thinking, what is this? This next is WrestleMania 19. Now, if you're wondering, what is this? This was a recording that I got from the same friend that had ordered WrestleMania 18. He ordered WrestleMania 19. We watched it, and he gave me a copy. And this is the copy that I got, that I kept all these years. And also, at the beginning of it, I have the 2003 Royal Rumble match. So I put everything up on it. But just for the sake of argument, much better. And WrestleMania 19, this was also another great WrestleMania right here. From top to bottom, I freaking loved it. And I got the Royal Rumble match, and I even got recorded Sunday Night Heat special with it and it had the preliminary matches and everything. So this whole night was really good. This was one of the best WrestleManias ever that I've ever watched. It had, from top to bottom, all the matches. Me and my friend, we freaking loved this whole show. Everything from Rey Mysterio Jr. and Matt Hardy all the way to Shawn Michaels coming back to fight Chris Jericho. Hulk Hogan fighting Vince McMahon in a hardcore match was just, why would fighting Vince McMahon again? But also, this WrestleMania was synonymous with being the final match with Steve Austin and The Rock. That was a very emotional match, but it was very, very good. And topping it all off with Kurt Angle fighting Brock Lesnar for the WWF title. Many people don't really talk about that main event, but it was actually really good because you got two collegiate wrestlers. These were freaking athletes. I'd say out of all the WrestleManias, Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar had to be one of the most, athletically speaking, probably one of the best wrestling matches in WrestleMania history. Because those two, like I said, just freaking athletes and machines. Both wrestling machines. They both got collegiate wrestling backgrounds. Kurt Angle being Olympic gold medalist. That was amazing. And even Brock Lesnar coming off, doing a shooting star press, missing, almost freaking breaking his freaking neck, but he survived. That was freaking nuts. And all the Kurt Angle wrestling with a broken neck and everything, it was amazing. This whole night was probably one of my favorite WrestleManias ever, especially with Limp Bizkit in concert, which was actually pretty cool. Though, especially the song Crack Addict was really good. But WrestleMania 19, absolutely S rank. One of my favorite WrestleManias ever. The only thing I did take out that GoDaddy Girls and Tori Wilson and Stacy Keibler match. I took that out of this videotape, but other than that, this is one of the best WrestleManias ever. One of my favorite WrestleManias of all time. Then we're going into WrestleMania 20. I did not watch WrestleMania 20 live, but I do remember seeing like highlights of it. I got this DVD about a year ago. And I didn't watch the WrestleMania for like the longest time until I finally got it. But this WrestleMania was kind of sentimental because this was also during a time when I was just about to be graduating high school. And then seeing Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero hold up the WWF and WCW World titles inside Madison Square Garden at WrestleMania 20 was very sentimental and very heartwarming. Because I remember seeing both them guys in WCW coming up the ranks in the WWF to finally get to that point was just very heartwarming. But all the other matches were really good, especially seeing The Rock and Randy Orton face to face in that handicap match. That was actually pretty cool seeing those two face to face. And the women's match was actually really good. I'm not really too much on women's wrestling, but that match was actually really good. And then seeing The Undertaker come back as the Dead Man to fight Kane again, him being the Dead Man again was actually really cool. That was one of the highlights of the whole night, was seeing The Undertaker come back. And then Kurt Angle fighting Eddie Guerrero for the WWF title. And then the three-way for the WCW World title. I'm really on the fence about having multi-man matches in the main event of WrestleMania because it should always be one-on-one for the WWF title. But in all honesty, that match was freaking bonkers. Probably one of the most hard-hitting three-way matches I've ever seen between Triple H, Chris Benoit, and Shawn Michaels. Probably one of the best three-way matches I've ever seen. But to cap it all off with Benoit and Guerrero holding up both belts, it was very sentimental and very heartwarming. So where would I put WrestleMania 20? How would I rank this? I wouldn't say it's an S, but I will say it's a solid A. WrestleMania is a solid A. But that's where I would put it. It's not really much an S rank because especially with some matches were alright, some matches were very, very good. But it's gonna be tough to top 17, 18, and 19, especially just coming off them freaking concerts, and those were just very sentimental to me. But WrestleMania 20 is sentimental to me because this was during a time when I was just about to be graduating high school and just doing like senior trips and everything. So WrestleMania 20 is sentimental to me, but it's definitely an A rank. And next up is WrestleMania 21. I did not watch this one live either, but I do remember seeing the highlights of it. And this was also during a time when I was kind of having a rocky relationship with the WWE, and TNA was just on fire. And this was also during a time when TNA was just starting their 3-hour monthly pay-per-views. So I was all about TNA more than WWE during this time. WWE was like, I would watch it every once in a while, but I was just solely on TNA, and especially the UFC, especially when they was coming out around with the Ultimate Fighter. But this WrestleMania, watching it back, it was actually pretty exciting. A very exciting show from top to bottom. The Money in the Bank ladder match was freaking nuts. The Undertaker fighting Randy Orton. And going back and watching Randy Orton, and this was just like, dude, like how much has he changed? Like, I remember seeing, this is how I remember seeing Randy Orton. Seeing him now is like, wow, he's come a long way. And everything else, especially seeing Roddy Piper, he just came off from Victory Road 2004 in TNA, and now he's back in WWF for the Piper's Pit, and he had Steve Austin with him, and then Carlito Caribbean Cool came out and tried to besmirch them, and they took him to the woodshed. But that was actually a good one. And also seeing Hulk Hogan there, that was pretty cool. And everything else, the two main events with the WWF title and the WCW title, I think JBL and John Cena should have main event because it's the WWF title. That's gotta be the main event. But both matches were really good. But where would I rank WrestleMania 21? There wasn't really too much, but I would put WrestleMania 21 at a solid 8. Solid 8. But looking back on this, especially with it being in 2005 and just seeing the crowd and everything with their Nokia cell phones and the little cameras and everything, it's like almost brought a tear to my eye. Oh man, that was like, I wish kids nowadays would experience things like that. But that's neither here nor there. And finally is WrestleMania 22. I did watch this one live. I watched it live with Robert and Duke. I went visit them that weekend, and then WrestleMania 22 was coming around and said, let's order it. Like, yeah, let's order it. So we was excited. We ordered it and everything, and then we watched it from start to finish. And we was just like, dude, what's going on here? Like, this is like, we was excited for some matches, but it was like, dude, what's going on here? This felt more like a Saturday Night's Main Event than anything. This didn't feel like a WrestleMania. Like, WrestleMania should be like something like WrestleMania 6, WrestleMania 12, 17, 18, and 19. You gotta have something exciting. It's gotta have excitement. Because this freaking WrestleMania is the best time of the year. You gotta have some kind of excitement, damn it! But this one just didn't have it. Like, I mean, they had Edge and Cactus Jack in that hardcore match. That was exciting. And The Undertaker fighting Mark Henry. Better off seeing him fight John Gonzalez. And the three-way with Kurt Angle and Randy Orton and Rey Mysterio Jr. It was alright. And Shawn Michaels fighting Vince McMahon. Come on. I know it was a hardcore match and everything, but come on. I didn't like this storyline at all. Especially after that happened and he started mocking God. Like, that's when I started like, dang, I started turning it off. I really got turned off during that time. But the main event with John Cena and Hunter Hearst Helmsley, it was alright. It was decent. It was a battle between like two of the big faces of the Ruthless Aggression era. And TNA was just on fire during this time. And Robert and Duke knew that too. But where would I rank WrestleMania 22? It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. Like, this could have been a Saturday Night's Main Event. I would put WrestleMania 22 a solid B. And that's putting it lightly. Solid B for WrestleMania 22. It was alright. Could have been better. It just didn't have that excitement. It's WrestleMania. You gotta get excited. But this one just didn't have it. The excitement was in TNA. So, there you have it. The WrestleManias of the Ruthless Aggression era. Started off absolutely incredible. Some of the best WrestleManias ever. With 18, 19, especially with coming off with 17 and everything. It was just an exciting time. All the times I remember back in high school, all the stuff that we talked about, all the stuff we was into, like Dragon Ball Z and anime and everything. Especially playing on the GameCube and the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox. One of the most exciting times. But then, like, after going into 2005 with WrestleMania 21, it was like, But 22, that's when it was like, that should have been a Saturday Night's Main Event. But other than that, TNA was like the main excitement for all of us. But that's it for WrestleMania of the Ruthless Aggression era. So that's all I got for it. Stay tuned tomorrow when I get into the next era. Please pray for me that I don't blow a gasp on this one. My God, then should I go into the next era? Can I please just skip it? But I have to. I said I was gonna do WrestleMania, so I have to do this. So, oh, fuck me. Please pray for me, y'all, that I don't blow a gasp. But This is Dwreck signing out. See y'all tomorrow. See you on the flip side.
I got big heads, my rams.